Have you ever wondered why a land so rich, so blessed, and so powerful is often portrayed as weak, poor, and helpless? Why Africa, the cradle of civilization, is always spoken as a victim rather than a victor? Today, we unravel a story that history tried to silence, a story where the lion finally learns to ride. This is African Ordeal, and it is more than just history. It is a mirror to the present and a prophecy for the future. Yes. Now, before we continue, I would like you to listen very carefully on this story that I'm going to play for you. It is only this story that can aid you to an extent that you can understand exactly what we are talking about here. In this course, we tell our stories and we ask questions and we explain it in a language that you will understand. So please listen to the story. Long ago, before maps divided her into fragments, Africa stood proud like a lion. Golden rivers, fertile lands, and kingdoms that flourish with wisdom. Her children danced to the rhythms of freedom, and her roar was heard across the earth. But then came the hunters. They carried flags in strange colors, gods carved from elsewhere, and promise wrapped in chains. They praised her beauty while stealing her treasures. They called it discovery, though the land was never lost. They called it civilization, though empires had thrived long before their ships arrived. Africa's roar was silenced, her story rewritten, and the ordeal began. The hunters never truly left, they only changed their clothes. Guns became loans, shackles became contracts, aid became a leech. Every handshake came with hidden claws, and some of Africans' own children, blinded by crowns of power, betray her too. But the story does not end in despair, for out of silence, a new roar rises. A young African awakens, refusing to inherit the chains of her fathers. They see factories where fields lie, energy in rivers, and unity beyond tribes. They ask bold questions. Who profit from our chahos? Who steals our water at night? The lion begins to rise, not as a victim, but as a writer of his own destiny. Now that we have heard this story now, let us go ahead to explain some certain things that you may not understand in this story. This story is more than a parable. It is the history and the reality of Africa's ordeal. For centuries, Africa has been shaped by external exploitation and the internal betrayal. Colonial powers drained resources, and when they left, they designed economic systems that kept Africa dependent. Loans, aid, and international trade agreement were not gifts. They were tools of control. But the deeper truth is this: the greatest chains are not always or the invisible ones. The manipulation of leaders, the planting of divisions among tribes, and the control of resources are strategies designed to keep Africa supplying raw materials while others build wealth. Yet, Africa's ordeal is also a prophecy. No matter how long the night, dawn must come. A new generation is asking the right questions. They are challenging old narratives, turning raw potentials into industry, and recognizing that nations are not friends. They are competitors with interest. And that's what the young ones are doing right now, rewriting the history of Africa. This awakening is Africa's turning point. The lion is not only learning to roar again, it is learning to write its own story. Now, let's apply the lessons we have learned in this story. Let's apply it, the lessons. So, what does this mean for you? The story you have heard, the history you have heard. What does this mean for you? Because I know what it means for me. First, awareness is power. If you don't know your story, others will write it for you, like they have been writing African story before today. Africans ordeal teaches us to question narratives and they seek truth. Secondly, unity is strength. Division is a weapon. The future belongs to those who see beyond tribe, beyond borders, and beyond manipulation. Thirdly, self-reliance is freedom. A continent, a community, or even an individual that always depends on gift from outside remains controlled. True freedom comes when we innovate, build, and take ownership of our resources. That is when we have true freedom. Otherwise, if we depend on gift from outside, we remain controlled. Finally, resilience is victory. African story reminds us that no matter how many times the flowers are cut, the spring always returns. These lessons are not just about nations. They apply to our personal lives. And that's what is making me to ask you. Ask yourself, or you can ask yourself, who is writing your story today? Who benefits from your silence? And when will you rise to write your own destiny? Now, let's take this course to more interesting part, and that is interactive questions. Now, I want to hear from you. Reflect deeply on these questions I'm going to ask you right now. One is, in your own life, who are the hunters? The people or system that profit from your silence or your dependency? Two, what aid in your life looks like a gift but actually keeps you in chains? Number three, if Africa's new generation can rise and write their story, what would it look like for you to rise and rewrite yours? I want you to pause for a moment, write your answers down, and be honest with yourself, because transformation begins with reflection. This course was taken from a novel titled African Ordeal, authored by Amaechi Ogalagu of Ogalagu Amaechi Speaks. Click on the link on my bio or comment section to join our WhatsApp live class platform so that you will enjoy every bit of this discussion and more lessons. That is where you see the generality of the people coming together to discuss issues that pertain in our lives every day. Now, Africa's ordeal is not just African story. It is a mirror for every human being who has ever felt silenced, underestimated, or exploited. But remember this, just as dawn always follows the night, your breakthrough always follows your ordeal. The lion is writing again. The question is, will you also write your story or let others write it for you? Thank you for joining me in this journey of this course. The time for silence is over. It is time to roar. It is time to rise. And it is time to reclaim your story. Thank you for watching this video. As you have made your time to watch this video, please don't skip any video that comes from this platform or you see coming from Mr. Amaechi Ogalagu Speaks. It is very important that you follow every course that that he dished out. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you.